Hello, Attactioneers. Welcome to America's Flesh and Blood podcast, the Attack Action Podcast. I'm your host, Taylor Morrow.
And I'm your host, Colin Honigman.
And then,
what's up, Taylor?
Oh, what's up, dude? Well, I think we were having a moment of silence for Isaac's absence.
Oh, yeah. He'll be back, though.
Yeah, totally. We'll get to that. I'm doing great. I just had I'm 35, and now
young.
One of my great joys in life is just hanging out with my adult friends, doing an adult thing, which consisted of reminiscing about the differences we had in high school over libations, and then going over to a different establishment and continuing to talk about philosophical topics such as how can we live in a world now where artists can be terrible people but great artists, and how do we navigate that while stuffing our faces with gigantic tasty hamburgers? So just the real American dream. And that's kind of the energy I'm bringing tonight. Is I'm full of beef and already had a couple. So if things get a little off the rails, or
it's your fault,
or have
not mine,
have a nappy kind of nap vibe going, that's what's happening. So that's how I'm doing. How are you?
Well, I'm doing good. I will say that artists have always been kind of bad people, and that's just something you have to learn more about a very old, artist to learn those things. I remember I don't want to say the wrong name, but there was like a poet when I was in school taking like English that I really enjoyed. Turns out, huge anti-Semite. And I was just like, oh, that's cool to know.
Yeah.
Now I'm conflicted. But then it was like, but his poetry wasn't anti-Semitic in and of itself. So maybe it's okay. But I don't read it anymore. So maybe not. But it's always been that way. And it's always disappointing to find out that people are assholes.
Yeah.
That's why they say never meet your heroes.
Exactly. And, took the words right out of my mustache.
But if I didn't meet my heroes, Taylor Morrow and Isaac Jessen, I wouldn't be on this podcast right now. But I knew they were good people because the vibes they put out were right.
Dreams do come true, is what you're saying.
Yeah, it's true. I think when we first met, though, we're already off the rails. I did it. You have those fears when you meet a friend as an adult. You're like, are they going to say something that I'm really not going to want to hear? And is that going to ruin this friendship forever? But you didn't, and you haven't, and you guys are great, and I love you. So how am I doing? Fantastic.
Oh, wonderful.
Tuesday night. I normally go to Armories tonight, but this was the night for podcast recording. So now it's a podcast armory. So we will be exchanging blows over the next course of an hour and a half, to 2 hours, an hour to 2 hours. I don't know how long it'll be.
Maybe 3.
Someone will die at the end. Yeah. Not physically, really, but emotionally. So I'm excited to be here. There's been a lot going on. There is a whole new set to talk about because, who cares about this set that came out like 3 weeks ago? We got a new set. Give me shiny things. That's all I care about. But yeah, I'm excited. I feel like we should get into the news because there's a couple tasty things happening in the news channel.
Absolutely. Yep. This is episode 72. Title TBD, but yeah, we're going to be talking about the meta, dusk to dawn, bright lights, nationals, blah blah blah. Just kind of where
it's a roundup episode.
We're taking the temperature is what we're doing. We're just, we're the hot nurse which is non-gender specific, and you're in here for a checkup, and we're taking your temperature, and whether that's in your mouth or your armpit or your butthole, whatever you prefer.
Sometimes it's your ear.
Oh my goodness, I forgot about that maneuver. Sometimes they do it like on the tip of your finger, right? Or is that your pulse? Your dad's a
I think that's your
doctor.
pulse. Yeah, so I'm half doctor. That's
Yeah.
your pulse when they do your finger.
Okay, great, perfect. Doesn't a fitness watch take a temperature also? Shoot you with a laser? Who knows?
It does your heart. It does your heart. But I don't think it does temperature because itself is hot. So I don't know if it can do that.
Who knows, dude? AI
It didn't
bots.
burn me. Apple told me it didn't burn me, so it's okay.
News. So, Bright Lights is the new set for Flesh and Blood coming out. It's all mechanologist, and it's coming out at the beginning of October.
All mechanologists all the time. Welcome to the Bright Lights channel, Flesh and Blood. Yeah, then, for those of us who didn't pay attention to every word that James White has ever said and every article ever written, he said bright lights at least 6 times sometime in the past year. So we knew the whole time it was going to happen, but now we're here. It's all mechanologist. There's a lot of stuff in there. We'll get more into detail about it later in the main topic section, because there's a lot to break down actually, and it's pretty interesting. And I'm withholding excitement because I've been hurt before.
I like that take. It's a great take. Moving on. Skirmish says now only award 1 point, so we don't LL. Not really a juicy piece of news, but perhaps relevant. And
it's good. Not every. I was thinking about this on the way here, and from my living room, and not everybody reads all the things all the time. So this might be news for somebody. So skirmishes award 1 point for living legend points, and that will have some kind of effect that may or may not matter. But at least whatever here, it means Kano is going to be around just a bit longer, luckily, because he's at the top right now. And I was like, oh no, my boy, Kano. So yeah. 1 point.
I think sometimes it's just they're not wanting to do more complicated math, I think, right? Because really it should be like some sort of function of the number of skirmishes versus the total points possible versus the number of wins a hero gets. So it's that way.
Yeah, it should scale with the number of events. I think we've seen that already, that when you just have a baseline thing and then all of a sudden you juice your competitive scene with like 10x the amount of events, things living legend very fast, and it can be kind of rough, especially, people come in at different times. You're like, oh, I'm all in. I'm super excited about this hero. Oh, by the way, did you hear about Living Legend? That hero is now banned, and you've wasted your money on buying this deck. So, and especially if Blitz and Skirmish is usually Blitz focused. But, it's the casual, quote unquote, casual format for new players.
Right.
So we'll see.
Indeed.
I'm still waiting for Genus What You Need to get his first point, but I think we'll be waiting a long time for that. Arachne has no points. Cavden has a point, maybe 2. I'm not sure actually how to read this thing. If they like add the 2 columns together, or if it's the sum on the left and the new ones on the right. I don't know. Cavden's got to win. So Arachne can probably get there. No, I don't think so.
Shout out to Cavdane.
Shout out to Cavdane. Shout out to Arachne. Shout out to Genus. What you need, man. He's got it. All right. Next up, we've got the AGE, Arcane Games and Events Players Championship, this Saturday, August 12th on YouTube. I'll be there. Others will be there. It's a the culmination of the 7-month-long open series hosted by AGE out here in Southern California. It has seen some of the best players in the entire game who happen to, reside here. And then it got real popular. So those crazy boys from Vegas and Arizona started showing up as well. And they'll be there again because they're good and they won some of these matches. So check it out. It is a 16-person tournament. So this is like a very exclusive tournament featuring just the best players in the game. It's going to be really awesome. I don't have the name of everybody in it, but most of them you will know. If you've watched any of the streams before, you'll definitely know them. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I think there's going to be a slightly different format. I think you can, it's not going to be a best of one. Maybe it's not best of one, but there's going to be, we're going to mix it up a little bit. So it'll be a fun day. Check it out on AGE's YouTube channel. You can find it at, I believe, youtube.age.events will take you there. So that is coming up.
Hell yeah. I'm pretty excited for that. I was trying to figure out how to get to LA to be part of the casting team. But the benefits of living in the middle of nowhere means sometimes the downside is you can find a flight, a one-way ticket to Burbank for $60. But then the next flight home isn't for a couple of weeks. So that just didn't work out. So that was a bummer. But regardless, really excited. It's AGE puts on the best streams, 100%. Graphically, content-wise, commentator-wise. Obviously I'm biased because those are all my friends, but if I were to think bigger picture and try to be as objective as possible, it's still the best. So there's that.
Exactly. That's what I say all the time. Never mind that I'm on the stream. It's the best one.
Yeah.
Even when I'm not on it, which I wasn't on it a couple times, which made me sad, but I'll be there this weekend. It is high quality. It's a whole homegrown event series that, will be continuing on into the future. And it's just been a lot of fun to be a part of it. Shout out to Justin Lewog, who is the mastermind behind it. And the reason that I commentate things, because he was like, hey, do you want to do this? And I was like, I don't know. And he's like, Blake's going to do it. And I was like, all right, fine, let's do it because Blake's funny and I'll have a good time.
Hell yeah.
So shout out to Blake. He's been my partner in that this whole year. And we've just had too much fun sometimes, but hopefully just enough so that you're getting the game, you're learning some stuff, and you're having a good time doing it.
Absolutely. Okay, final piece of news here. So we were talking, me, Colin, and Isaac the other day, and we were came to the conclusion that the thing that is dear to our heart and one of the most important things in this game, in this journey we've been on, starting a podcast, etc., are the people, and how just really rare and amazing it is to actually be a part of a community of people that are really positive and excited and get shit done and are creative, etc. And just how unique that is in kind of modern society, and that we wanted to promote that in a certain way and not have it be based around, we still want it to be based around the game, but not around a competitive event. So we are birthing into existence the Battle Bros Hype House, which name maybe to be determined, but it sounds pretty good.
We'll workshop it.
We'll workshop it, but we probably won't, and that's just what it's going to be.
It'll just be hype.
So
BBHH, let's go.
So in April, I believe we've decided we are going to send out the word to all of our patrons, and maybe a select other few people, and we're just gonna like get a Airbnb and invite everybody over and just have a long weekend with a battery of activities, flesh and blood and non-flesh and blood related and that sort of thing, and just try to kind of recreate those moments you have at those big events where you're like, man, it was so cool. We just like hung out with the homies and had a great time and laughed a lot and made memories and that sort of thing. So just like the whole idea is about connecting and then having fun with flesh and blood and our shared interest in games and the community of stuff we've made eloquently finished there. So there you go.
Just, the exact soul of flesh and blood realized in the form of a, party house where we're going to play chord games.
Talking about chords.
Yeah. So you may wonder, how could I get in on such a thing? Well, I'm excited to tell you that this show is listener supported, and you can support this show by joining our Patreon for as little as $4 a month. And, you probably got to be a member when we're planning this out. So it's sometime between now and April. And that's only how many months is that?
6.
8 months?
8 months.
6 months? That's like $20, dude. You lose $20 just on accident sometimes. You could just lose that by accident to us. That would be sweet, and you'd support the show. And we'd really appreciate it. We give a lot of content. All of our content is free except for a small private podcast where we just talk regular things that we're interested in, not even flesh and blood. So all of our strategy things that Isaac shares because he's the best one right now, and anything else cool that we've done, we always do for free, and we always love your support. And if you can't, we understand. Please tell a friend, but that's our spiel. But if you want to come to the BBHH Hype House, BB, you gotta join the Patreon.
Yeah, exactly.
So just think about it.
Exactly. It'll be somewhere in California for logistical purposes.
Yes, it will be convenient for us.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry if that's not convenient for you. So if that determines your thing, you could still support us and support the spirit, but
Yep.
we understand.
But we hopefully giving you enough heads up now. Plan for April. We're going to draft old sets. We're going to draft new sets. We're going to play UPF. We're going to play Twilight Imperium. Colin's going to be...
We're not. Are we really?
Why not? Colin's going to be the dungeon master, and we're going to play a one-off.
The whole weekend.
That's true. I guess we're going to be here for 2 weeks now.
Fuck, I would love that. Yeah, maybe we will do that.
Who knows?
If enough people want to, we could do it.
So that's what we're talking about. Just
good times with good people.
Fucking having good times with good people.
That's what we're missing out right now. There's too much competition and not enough just hanging out, having fun, which, shout out to everyone who's good at competition and has fun doing it. But not all of us can do it and have fun. But anyways, enough of that. Let's move on to some shout outs. We got a few.
Okay, so first shout out goes to the big bud himself, Tommy Fresh.
Big bud.
He just had me on his 104th episode, 2-year anniversary episode. It was amazing. I mean, I feel really honored to have been on an anniversary episode, and we get to some magic at the end of that episode, which is right where you want to have it for analytical purposes. You want the good shit at the end so everybody listens the whole time. So go check out that episode.
I was like, Magic the Gathering?
No, like
No, you mean
chemistry.
You made some.
We made some magic
at the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mhm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Check it out. Fresh and Buds,
Yep.
wherever you find podcasts.
Exactly. Colin.
Where do you find podcasts?
The internet.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, this one goes out to our battle bro. Our boy Isaac has been out there fighting fires. Holy shit. It makes me nervous, but I'm really proud of him. He's living his dream and best life right now. And he was just out there. That's why he's not here right now, because he was up all night putting out fires and he's been all over the place. So shout out to Isaac. We're fucking super proud of you, man. And I'm glad you're home safe now.
I know. It sucks because he's like when he's in it, he is in it. So it's just like,
yeah, he's not on Discord being like, what's up, guys? Check out this fire.
well, just like in general, his vibe is like,
yeah,
if you don't hear anything, I'm safe. You know what I mean? Which is hard to deal with, So anyway,
yeah,
we just got to live with that. Second shout out to, or third shout out, excuse me, Jeff Anderson, Boardroom Gamer. He was our commercial content winner back in the episode 49-ish we put out, or whatever that is. The radio, it's between 48 and 49, I guess, technically.
It's 49. It's like, it's not a real podcast, but on the numbered list of podcasts.
Yeah. If you listen to anything before episode 49, you'll get his sweet commercial he did for our contest. And then the radio Wraith Radio bonus episode has all of the commercials submitted for a contest we did.
But why are we shouting him out now?
Last year. Yeah. So now we're shouting him out because he absolutely nailed the Bright Lights promo a year in advance, basically. Then when Bright Lights came out, the new trailer for Bright Lights is very, very reminiscent of a very, very good idea that Jeff Anderson had already done in an audio version.
He nailed the vibe way ahead of the curve. Just knew what was coming and laid it out there. And just, I thought it was super cool. That was one of our most fun contests that we've done, because I think our submissions were really, really funny and creative. So just want to shout that out because it's great. If you haven't heard it, check out that episode 49. It's just commercials and Taylor being a radio DJ. It's soothing and fun to listen to.
Hell yeah.
And then I guess last up, a little early, I don't know if we'll be here next time on the podcast, so I just wanted to say happy birthday to the Attack Action Podcast, turning 3 years old, growing some teeth. I guess is the way.
Hair is maybe long enough to get a haircut if you're one of those babies.
Might get a haircut.
Yeah.
If you're wearing like real pants.
Yeah.
So you look like a small person. And like, I don't know what babies do.
Full sentences, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's like pronounced in a way that if you don't hang out with the baby enough, you're like, what the hell did you say? The mom's like, oh yeah, they said this. She's like, oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. 3 years. It's crazy. Started back on August 25th of 2020. Literally just a different world at the time, where, didn't go outside and was afraid of everything. And there was Taylor and Isaac just being like, we're okay. We're just hanging out with each other. So we're going to hang out and play Flesh and Blood. While the rest of us were like, how do we play this card game that we've just bought a lot of cards for? And we don't know how to do it. So, real exciting. Here's to the next year and the years after that.
Thank you, Colin.
And that's our shout outs. Oh, you're welcome.
Appreciate you.
Proud of you guys.
Oh, I'm proud of us too. Incredible.
We did it.
We did it.
And that's our last episode. So
yeah,
thanks.
totally. Awesome. Okay. So into our main topic, which is a number of subtopics with
The roundup.
with subheaders and subsections. I like it that you're rounding up and I'm just doing clerical nomenclature.
Need to get these topics out to make room for the next topics. These are the topics we have. They don't make a full episode unless we squeeze them together. But yes, there's a lot going on lately. So we're going to talk about what's been going on and what it might mean and how we feel about it.
Hell yeah. This is a feels vibes episode. Okay.
Yeah.
So Iyslander wins battle hardened Midwest. Chicago, Cincinnati, both of those maybe are the ones that it wins. I don't know. Iyslander wins 2 battle hardens in a row. Incredible. Shout out to Rhea Adams. Then Iyslander wins the Calling Birmingham. Shout out to that player. God, Samuel. Then
Samuel.
Majin Bay wins the PTI event at Salt Lake City with Iyslander. That's 4 wins in a row for our underdog hero. In a row.
Wow.
Like not in a row, major events. What the
hell is going on?
What the fuck, dude? How it's just like so crazy. I've watched all of those streams, and in the first 3, I was like, come out of my cave and be like, to my wife, who's a person in her own right, was like, oh my God, the underdog hero wins again, or whatever, and then now Majin wins. And I'm like, gosh, I don't think this is the underdog hero anymore. This is like quite the rampage, honestly. So Colin, what are your thoughts and feelings and vibes?
All right. So my thoughts are, I don't know. I don't understand what's changed, because the vibes were that Iyslander no good no more. But I don't understand fully why that was the case. And I don't understand why it is not the case anymore. It seems like, outsiders came out. Lexi was just like stomping on people too fast, too much disruption, and not enough that Iyslander could do. And then Oldham LLs, and then Dust Till Dawn comes out. Levia seems real good. But we haven't seen a lot of her after that kind of first couple weeks. So now it's just like, it could just be the thing of like, people are trying out a bunch of new stuff now. And, Iyslander is kind of that consistent, hero that people have reps on. So they're coming in as specialists. They know what they're doing. They have a better game plan. And, I think, my feelings are like, but Ray Adams, shout out to Ray Adams, doesn't run Wounded Bull, so it's not a Bullander deck. So hell yeah, it's a Raging Onslaught deck, which I was just like, what's the difference? I was like, oh, it blocks for 3. That's pretty cool. Like, I like that little bit of a tech on there. It's just like, I just don't want to have to block for 2 sometimes, and I get that. So yeah, it's very weird. It seems like people just kind of bounced off of Iyslander and maybe didn't really think about it enough. I don't know. It's been hard to see the full meta breakdowns for each of these big events. They have been very diverse, I think, all around. There's just been a lot of hero representation, especially outside of probably, there's always like 3 that are like the most popular, but it's it's been, regularly diverse with the number of different heroes who are brought to these events. But yeah, it's weird. I'm kind of like, it was like, oh, why my Iyslander decks I think is still put together. I'm like, but do I really want to play it? Like, because I go to my armory and everyone just plays Dromine. You're like, that's still a bad matchup. Like, I don't
Well,
know.
that's like the crazy thing is that Rhea Adams like beats two Dromai in one of her battle hardened victories in a row to win the whole thing. You know what I mean? That's what's so crazy. Is Icelanders just out here beating Dromais, winning events, and everybody discounted the deck. And it's like uh it's just wild. It's just wild to me. And I think that it's the addition of like a bunch of little things put together that are leading to this, the it being, we have some specialists here winning, which that is increasingly more important, specializing in a deck in the game where the variance is lower and the game goes on longer and that sort of thing. Not like in terms of each match, but in terms of its like history and that sort of thing. And then like new meta with a hero LLing. So that means that a lot of new decks are trying new things and don't have a ton of time to get the reps against every single hero. And Icelander's not supposed to be that good, so maybe you don't get a lot of reps against it, etc. And then the like Bullseye Bracers ban, I think, is more impactful than it seems to have been. Just like easy access to Arcane and easy access to like an extra 8 damage combo turn, that like when you do that against Iyslander, it's like pretty hard sometimes to come back from that sort of thing. So I think it's like all of these little things are leading up to just a very strong tuned deck with good pilots doing it. It's not like there's 3 Icelanders in the top 8 and one of them makes it. It's like there's one, and if it's in the top 8, it's winning, basically, is what's happening here. So I'm just gonna say it's the best deck right now.
Yeah, I think those are good call outs. I forgot about the bans. I think that happened while I was on vacation, so I kind of just forgot about it. And then looking at her deck, Warmongers is a real thing.
Yeah.
And is a bit of a bummer that it is also very good in Iyslander, where it's just like, cool, I'm just gonna play this, card and ruin your day. And like most decks want to play both non-attack actions and attack actions. And it's just, I had a lot of people were complaining about this card at first, and I kind of just didn't know what the deal was, but it seems pretty warping. And if that's I think the combination of all these things have kind of brought this deck back to a pretty prominent position, which, I guess I'll believe it when Mr. Mikey Hammy starts playing it again, because I guess, when I feel like he didn't play it and everyone was like, oh, it must not be good anymore. So let's all change directions, because as much as we, pride ourselves on brewing our own decks, most of us just net deck something. So
absolutely.
That's yeah. We'll have to see. I'm curious what shakes out at national season. She's put up some good numbers this past month. People for sure have noticed. So what are they doing? Are they just going back to Iyslander, or are they going to a deck that they think can beat Iyslander? Which, previously didn't seem like was a lot of decks. So yeah, it's an interesting one. And I don't think anything we'll just have to see, if, of course, if more people play her, then it just the meta moves, and then it opens up opportunities. So it'll be interesting to see how the professional players react to them.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's also weird too because it's like, well, also remind me because we should maybe do a Warmongers rant as well, or at least I would like to. It's not even really a rant; it's just like a string of sentences together that maybe could be considered negative. Uh, the this meta in particular doesn't have like a ProQuest or RTNs or like a a huge number of events to kind of hone decks with. You know what I mean? So you like only have a couple of these like bigger events, which it's hard to know the litmus test on those. Like, is a 140 player tournament to 300 player tournament better than thousands of players playing on the same day in a bunch of smaller tournaments, etc. So somebody who's a mathematician, I'm an exercise scientist, so
That's like math of the body.
yeah, exactly. So there's just not a lot of body parts that I'm interested in. Mainly, there are a lot of body parts involved in this. Anyway, I digress. So that maybe also has something to do with it as well. Not a lot of events to get incremental iterations. So national season will be interesting because of that. Like,
Yep.
Is there secret tech? Is there sauce? Have people been figuring out what to do? Or is this a fluke, etc.? Like the proof will be kind of in that pudding a little bit, I think. But again, it's still like, only a couple of weeks long and is short. So
Yeah. You can't ignore the results right now. It looks good. People still like playing it. I think it's going to be, she will be a hero that's around for a while. If she doesn't LL soon, what's she at right now? She's at 762. So she's in second place for,
yeah,
the leaderboard. So she got 120 points in the Dust Till Dawn season. Okay. That's pretty significant.
yeah, exactly.
Literally nobody else in CC got any living legend points because there just hasn't been that many events. But yeah, she dominated this season, which is, I think that says it. I think she's back. She's in full force. And if you're not playing her, you better have a game plan against her. I'm sorry. Winter is here despite the heat that is melting everything.
I mean, I'm loving it because it's like, tied it's my favorite hero, and I've picked the deck back up even before Battle Hardened season. Was just like, I don't know, I know how to play this deck. This seems fun, and it is fun as shit. I really like that deck, and it's really fun, and especially Miss Adams deck where we're more arcane focused and we're only bringing in them poppers for the popper matchups. That's even more fun. But it's wild. I never would have thought this, or like, because usually when we have like these events like this, a hero wins here, a hero wins there. It's a top, there's a top deck that's kind of like well represented in the top 8. You know what I mean? Or there's like 3 of one hero, etc. And it's just Iyslander just winning and winning and winning and winning. And yeah.
Yeah.
It's both exciting and extremely boring at the same time. You know what I mean?
I hear that. It can be, draining to see when a hero is too dominant and every match you watch like on a stream is just like that hero again or the mirror match for that hero. It's a little that's when I feel like the meta is not in a great place.
Totally.
Um,
But that's like not what's happening. There's very few Icelanders and they're winning. That's the crazy thing.
yeah, I'd love to see like the conversion rates on some of these events. But yeah, I mean it's like, let's see, Chicago had four different heroes. There's a mix of Lexi, Icelanders, Dromais, and one Levia. Shout out to Levia. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think it's going to be represented at nationals. So get ready for it. We're gonna see some mirror matches, which actually are pretty fun in Icelander because they're little. They always it's kind of like a football game where there always is the potential for something crazy to happen like right away, which is always cool. So not as crazy as a Kano matchup, but still fun. But yeah, which I think this whole conversation kind of swoops into our next topic, which is to discuss the Dusk Till Dawn question. Is it good? Was it good set? I don't know. So that's our question. We're talking about the whole kit and caboodle, the art, the playability, the vibes, the meta shakeup. Yeah, what are your thoughts initially? I mean, I think we kind of we touched on this like previously the past month or so, but I think looking at where we've come since then, I think the picture is actually taking shape to actually show what the impact has been.
Yeah, and I think part of this too is going to give me my personal opinion. You know what I mean?
Whoa, you can't share your personal opinion on your podcast, Taylor.
Yes, I can, and I'm not going to change it.
All right, well, just make sure you yell it real loud into the microphone.
We established that last podcast. So to me, this is one of the most boring times in the game. And this is the time I have the most time of the year to play the game. And for whatever reason, the Dusk to Dawn meta is just so not inspiring to me. And I still can't really put my finger on why that is. Like, I still am really excited that Iyslander is doing super well. Like, that's just such a cool story and an underdog situation. That's now top dog situation. You go from a bottom dog to a top dog, so quickly. But just it's like effect it's had on Bolton and Levia has been a little bit lackluster, and it's still pretty early. And this is my opinion now. And I think my opinion before was like, I thought it was really cool. The card pool depth and variety we get to build those heroes with, in even Prism and Vincent and that sort of thing. But now I'm starting to think like there wasn't enough salt and pepper and spice in this stew, and it's maybe coming out to be like rather bland. What are your thoughts before I teased it. Warmongers is the card that is like becoming a real bummer for me. Like I've been totally fine with most of the other like cards people have wanted to ban. Like Codex, fine with me. Pulse Wave Harpoon, totally fine. Nobody even talks about that card anymore.
I hate that card. You want me to talk about it? I hate it.
Starvo, all of these things have been like, I'm like, whatever, it's fine, but for whatever reason, the vanilla-ness of Warmongers and it's like not doing anything that cool and its low opportunity cost to add into your deck is, and how it's affecting the meta so much. like that one card is more than the set of Dust to Dawn, is just like uh bumming bumming me out, you know?
Yeah, I'll agree. I think it's a card that actively makes the game less fun by not allowing you to play the game the way you want to, and not by some cool thing that the
Yeah.
person did or some cool choice that they gave you. It's literally just like, well, if you're a deck that wants to do more than one thing, good luck. Like, you're not going to be able to do that. So uh it's just weird that it hampers decks that are the most interesting while allowing the, you know, straight aggro decks just to like keep playing because, you know, because you choose, like, you choose which one you're going to do. So if you're just Katsu, you're just play out your cards. It's like you
Yeah.
wanted to. Like, you might not be able to. Actually, I don't even know. I think his ability isn't activated, so his ability still works. So it's just like, doesn't matter. And it's also good in Katsu because he can throw it at the end of the change. It activates his Kodachis. You know, it actively tears down decks that are doing cool, interesting things. And I think that it is too much of a silver bullet. This should have been a class card, uh, maybe for Light Warrior or maybe for Warrior. I think that makes it way more interesting, less, you know.
Or even if it's like they take one of the things away from it, like it's a yellow or it blocks for 2. Like,
Oh yeah, no, it should cost 1, and if it, yeah, it's like if it, yeah,
if the
it's just,
yeah, it would just would feel better and like
yeah,
have to make you make a decision on, ooh, should I put this in my deck? Like, is it worth it? You know what
yeah,
I mean? Rather than just be like, well, it's pretty easy because it's a 0 cost blue that blocks for 3. Even though it doesn't have
yeah,
go again, it still is like a low opportunity cost, you know?
yeah, yeah, and can really buy, excuse me, could buy some tempo with like nothing. Like, you just play this card on your turn, you catch your opponent with the wrong hand, and they're like, you know, they're totally
Tick,
hamstrung.
tick,
And like,
tunic, pass.
yeah, it's it's yeah. I think it's a. I don't think it will get banned, unfortunately, but I think it actively removes the parts of the game that I think are fun,
Yeah. And
which I may think it's like bad design. I'll just say that, knowing nothing about how to design a game.
totally, which I understand that caveat also, but just in personal, having 3 years in this game, this is the one this is the straw that's breaking my camel's back. So,
But your camel will be okay. You know.
oh,
You'll
totally,
recover.
dude.
But
It's fucking resilient, tough, hardy, survives in the desert.
they live in the desert, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's gonna be fine. What do you
arid out there.
did we talk about? Yeah, let's talk about your thoughts about Dusk to Dawn.
I think, unfortunately, it my feelings like level out to just, you know, mid. But there's some like really good feelings on one side and then not so good feelings on the other. I think the stuff it did for Levia is super cool. I like the ideas that they put out, for almost all the classes. I think they all got something interesting. I think the focus again on light and shadow is just like it feels super narrow, and the fact that they had to like reprint new heroes, two of those heroes or classes needed new heroes with whole new mechanics. I think that really kind of weighed heavily on this set. And we didn't get anything that seems like it will really shake up the meta beyond the warmongers. I think Vincett's actually pretty cool. I played against Evan. Shout out to Evan on Tuesday last week at Armory after our Monarch draft, and he just smashed me so hard. I was so over it with how hard he smashed me and just kept pummeling me. And those, oh my God, those cards where if you do any amount of damage, he blows up your arsenal, including arcane. You're just like, are you kidding me? Like, I can't block all of this arcane and your huge attack, and then you pummel me. And I'm just like, okay, well, I guess I can't. I feel like again, I can't play Kano because everything is just so, aggressive, and I need time to do stuff. But then all these Kano players come out and they do really well. So I'm just again at the point where I'm just struggling with my own skill set. But Vincent seems pretty fun. Into it, would like to throw a deck together. Prism seems difficult, but there's cool ideas there. I just don't think it has enough legs to stand on right now. But I like how the hero functions. The figments are cool, like, awakening things, all this stuff kind of like, I don't know. The mechanics of it, I'm into.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really want to spend a lot of time playing a hero that like has 32 health and plays like 30 non-blocking cards. But I will, I'm excited to check it out at some point. It's just not at the top of my list. So, and like I said, Leviah Redeemed and Consumed is just it was like that was like they fixed this hero that was like had a just built-in issue, and they've fixed it. They made it so that you can have an end game that is also threatening, but also you still deck yourself. You can still lose this game very easily if you don't manage all the extra resources that Leviah has to manage well enough, and you get to that game and you can't close it out before you deck yourself. So, I thought that was, honestly, I think it's inspired. So whoever on the team did that, like, shout out to you. You're a true Leviah lover, and I think you made something that a lot of people can have fun with, because most people who play Leviah do it because they love it and not because they gotta win every week. But definitely has done well, but it's still a brute. So you gotta roll them dice and hope that probability's on your side, which it isn't. It's just a thing that is. So you just have to hope you're tapping into it at the right time.
Yeah, exactly. I think you had a lot of really good points in that, Colin, in like distilling it down to like, I think the vibes of Dusk to Dawn are good, are strong, strong vibes. But when we stack it up, like, I mean, even like Dynasty at this point, I think was like the weakest expandable set, but it got us a new hero with all new mechanics. Arachne, shout out to the Arachne Enclave, I've just now dubbed it, and just fucking murdering the Emperor right away. Like, that set actually, I think, was pretty good, pretty cool. You know what I mean? And then before that, we have like Everfest, and before that, we have something Crucible. Is Crucible the one expandable set before Everfest?
I'm gonna say yes, but could be wrong. If you're shouting at me, I'm sorry.
Anyway, I think so. I think
it is.
I think so. Nice. You had to look back at your giant piles of cards and sealed product. Yeah. Hey. So it's just like Dusk to Dawn is just not in the top pantheon there, bro. So it's.
I think the deal is that it helped out two heroes that were like bottom tier the most. So now they're middling heroes, but still not great. So for all those people who like those heroes, I think it's really cool. It gives them stuff to play with. It had the two other heroes from Monarch, the original Light and Shadow set, LL'd because they were too powerful. Like
Mm-hmm.
they've been gone for a while now.
Yeah.
So they had to replace them with things that were not as powerful because they knew people would like literally flip their shit if we had another like chain level or prism level hero. And so they played it a little bit safe there, which I appreciate. I think they left room for it to grow and be interesting. I think Illusionist is a I I wouldn't want to be tasked with trying to like,
Yeah.
balance a new hero. I think they tweaked it, too much. And or maybe not. Maybe we just haven't figured out how to do it. I'll take that. I don't
Yeah. I think
this,
that's
but
fair.
he's very weak. 32 health is not a lot. Take a couple hits and you're immediately in like a danger zone for some decks like
Danger
Lexi.
zone.
So no time for Kenny Loggins. Not right now. But so yeah, it just didn't do anything for most players, which I think expandable sets so far have tried to give every you know class and hero something. So it's none of it's ever been like too crazy. There's like usually a couple cards that are standout, and those get bought up and put in lots and lots of decks. And in other cards, like it takes time to realize that they are really good, and eventually your hero gets just enough other support that you're going back to those sets to find these cards that actually like really work well with that. I think it's rarely like the like really mechanical cards, like aim counter cards never really like mattered still, but some of those cards are actually still good arrows,
right?
Things like that. So it's always the hope that they're planning for the future. I think this one is like this is like an acorn seed that they're planting that's going to grow into a mighty oak, but it's going to take a fuck of a long time. But so like I said, I'm still stoked for Levia because it was fun to watch when we did it on AG stream, just to see how it all works out.
I'm glad that's how you feel. I think that when you look at what happened to Azalea and Lexi in the previous set, and that's like, kind of your lens in which you're viewing this set through, and you're like, man, I love Levia so much. And you don't have the exact same treatment in that way. I think that sucks a little bit. You know what I mean? But at the same time, is it fair to expect that sort of thing every single time?
I mean, I think, to be honest, though, I think Levia did get that treatment. I just think she is a hero that is complicated enough and relies on so much random things that it inherently holds her back.
Yeah. I think that's totally fair. But what about our boy Bolton?
Charging is bad. It's a huge cost every single time you do it. I think, but I do think the cards were was it Soul Charge? Is that
Soul Flare?
Weirdly, Soul Flare. That's one. When you charge with that card, does a thing. Like I think that's a really interesting space to open up into, but I just don't think he's got enough to, he's not fast enough, and then he just needs too many cards to do what he wants to do. So it's difficult. It's just hampered by its own design, unfortunately. And same thing with Levia. That's why both those classes, like, I mean, I got the Living Legends. We can see what they got. Bolton has 168 points and Levia has 20. So that tells you a lot right there. So I think it didn't work out. I think for Azalea and Lexi, the threat density just like went through the roof, and they were all of a sudden able to do so much with their new cards. I think they were riding just a bit higher in like the tier list and the power level, that the addition of the new cards just allowed them to be that much better. And then, we saw Azalea just immediately disappear too. Like, she's not putting up numbers. She's at 36 living legend points. So, like, there was a second there where, like, everyone's like, oh, Azalea's so strong. It's so hard to do. But it's like, once you learn how to play against it, you're kind of like, okay, well, I just block when I can. And then when I can't, I take damage and try to hit them as hard as I can. And, they don't block very well either. So that's also a thing. So, yeah, I don't know. I think time will tell on this one, but it's definitely not like, it's not the meta shakeup I think we're hoping for, because we're just back into like last year's meta right now without Oldhim.
Yeah, exactly. I think those are all good points. That's basically all I want to say about that.
All right, we're done. Should we move on to brighter things?
Absolutely. Let's get into that. Let's get potentially positive.
Bright lights, big city, good idea, hopes and dreams. This is what our notes say. So we have a new set. We talked about this earlier. This was announced. I was surprised that there was a new set coming out so soon. I guess it's not something I pay as much attention to these days because, like I said, when Taylor was blowing his nose, I still haven't put away my Outsiders or Dust Till Dawn cards. So a new set may ruin me physically, if not anything else.
Shout out to me earlier blowing my nose and then editing that out of the podcast.
Or did you?
Or did I?
We'll find out later. So all mechanologists all the time. Lots of really cool things. Let's like just run down the features
please do.
of this set. Number one, at least on my list, there's an expansion slot, which I think is a really fun idea. This is 1 in 15 packs. It replaces a token. There will be a card that doesn't make sense in this set, and it is there for support for other classes, narrative/lore reasons to move the story forward of the World of Wraith, and then reprints like Tunic and other things like that are hard to get, and they should print more of because those things are barriers of entry. So that's just really cool. I think that's a wonderful idea. I've been a complainer, I try not to complain so much, but I've made my feelings known. Famously, I've said that I think the 2 token pack is a bummer, and I wish we were back to 1 token so that, we got more actual cards in our sets. Right. So this to me is a great idea. 1 in 15 isn't a lot, but I still think it's pretty interesting, and will allow them to, in the future, just release new stuff. So that's cool. I didn't mean to go into how I felt about this stuff yet, but I guess that's how we're doing it. So Taylor, thoughts on the expansion?
Yeah,
slot?
Totally. This is kind of what I thought the carnival slot in Everfest was going to be, kind of just a ooh, spin the wheel on the slot machine and see what comes out. So I think this is a great addition to the makeup of packs and that sort of thing. So I hope they continue to do that moving forward. I think that's a really positive, great idea to utilize. Shout out to whoever made that choice.
Yeah, I think it's just fun and it'll be cool. So next, the next thing I'm most excited about is the intro sealed format 3-pack crack, shuffle, and play. This I think is beautiful. Flesh and Blood has a new player problem where it is very hard for new players to figure out how to get into the game, where to start, what they should buy, and et cetera, et cetera. I've always thought that, sealed was probably the best way to go. And this just makes that much more accessible because they're all mechanologist cards. They just open up 3 packs, they slam them all together, and they go. It's basically, there's other card games that have done similar things where you just like grab a couple packs, you do it, and That's all you got. And it's really, I think it's really smart. I'm excited to try it out. I think, and even allows you to play more games out of one box
Yeah.
since you're using fewer packs. So I'm really excited about this. I don't know. You can't do this in a set that isn't all the same class. So I'm curious, will we get single class sets for other classes in the future? Like, will we get an all brute class set? That'd be fun. Let's do that. Let's go to the Savage Lands. But yeah, crack shuffle and play. A really, really smart idea, I think.
I agree. I mean, one of my favorite formats in TCGs from one of my favorite TCGs, Transformers, had turbo sealed, which was just two pack sealed games, and it was so fun. Like me and Thomas just like I think could play that for infinity. He also really loved that, and it's just so great. You just open two packs and you just like play a best of 3 game with your freaking Transformers that are transforming and shooting laser beams and using energon cubes and saying let's roll out and Starscream bullshit, you know, and that's happening, and it was awesome. So if this is anything like that, but then also added in the flesh and blood stuff, then it's gonna be a great hit. Like I absolutely love so shout out to Patrick and Levi. We sometimes go to a local watering hole and play some games of Fab and stuff. And that's like,
what? That's so cool.
It is cool. It's so fun. It's so fun. But now we could do that with just like, hey, let's go to the store, or hey, who's got a box? Like, let's just grab 3 packs, play. And that's way better than playing a whole CC game. Like you get kind of drunk if there's, you know, you're just like waiting around to play your game. Yeah. You get kind of drunk anyway, but at least you're playing a game. But if you're the third guy sitting out, you know, you get kind of drunk and then you got to like hop into the cockpit. But this way, in this,
don't have to deck build, just grab them, throw them together. Don't even care. Don't even look at them. Just pull them off the top and find out what's going to
absolutely happen. Riffle shuffle it, and then a Fable's in there, and it doesn't matter. You know, fuck it. Dude. Beer on the table, no sleeves. Dude, let's just go to town.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be. I hope it's a fun format. I hope it doesn't feel weird or bad. I think. A lot to learn about what this new set is, and we'll get into more of that later. But I think that fixes a problem that I've seen in this game, and I'm excited that they are coming up with clever ways of doing that. So I hope to see more of this. We need a casual scene where people can just hang out and play.
Sorely.
That is, it's holding us back, y'all. Let's do it. We can be the change. So let's be cool and casual about cracking 3 packs and playing them. Next up,
you're like
related
long distance, low commitment, casual girlfriend. Shout out to Barbie. Shout out to Ken.
That's where I started with my wife, I guess, technically. But
look at you now.
You know, look at us now. How many years later? A lot of years later.
40.
15 years later.
Nice.
Anyways, regular sealed for all competitive purposes is 4 packs because everything's the same class. You don't need those 2 packs. And they love saying the most bang for your buck set sealed for flesh and blood. Or I'm just like, bro, I wouldn't mind having 2 more packs when I play sealed. Totally. Like I like opening cards. But I also appreciate that, like, you know, another barrier of entry for newer players of like, you don't need that many packs. You can buy, you know, 20, you know, $15 worth of, I don't know how much packs.
$20 MSRP. 4 packs, $20.
Yeah, $20 rather than, you know,
$30,
28, $30. So that's $10 that you could donate to our Patreon.
Hell yeah. Actually, only 4 out of that $10, and then those other $6
you could save.
Gets you like a monster.
You can save some of that
and some candy.
Yeah, or a boba across the street, or you can buy another pack just for you for fun. Yeah. You know, just to open up.
Basically, buy a pack for us, buy a pack for you.
That's true. We should call the $4 tier buy a pack. Donate a pack of cards to Attack action power. Anyways, 4-pack sealed. I don't think there's much else to say about it. It's basically the same thing, except you deck build with it, and everyone, if you don't know how to play sealed, we have episodes on it, I'm sure, but it's a weird time to be listening to this podcast if you've gotten this far and you don't know what sealed is. But yeah, just interesting. I think it's more of a consequence of being all a single class set that you just don't need the 2 extra packs, and maybe it's like busted with 6. We should try some 6-pack sealed to see.
Yeah, just like, be dirty. Just be like,
yeah,
we're nasty boys. We're doing 6-packs and bright lights.
They also did say there's a maximum number of cards for sealed decks now too. So before you could always just throw as many playable cards as you had in your pool. But now we have a maximum, which again, I think is because there's just all the cards can go into your deck.
Yeah.
So the piles would be a real thing in this set without that.
50 cards.
Crack, shuffle, and play 6 packs. Let's go.
Colin, what? I know you've been pontificating for a while now, but I'm going to ask you another question.
I can do it all night, or at least until I get sleep.
And that's why you've been married for 15 years, because you can do it all night. Hell yeah. Ooh. Hey.
I've been married for 4 years.
Whatever.
5 years.
Well, that's why you've
almost
been off the market for 15 years. Hey. Okay.
All right, let's go.
Just assuming you have a monogamous relationship. Anyway, we don't need to get into that. Or
it's a throuple if you include our dog, I
guess. Hell yeah. What was I going to say? What are your feelings about Mechanologist? How has that class inspired you or not inspired you?
It's interesting because on the surface of it, I love the fiddly nature.
Mm-hmm.
Like, put a steam counter on this. You do this. You got all these dice on cards. Like, this is fun. This feels like board game territory where I'm doing all this like fun little mini game of like, building up things and having equipment and etc. And then in reality, I've never played it. I don't think I've ever played Mechanologist. And I honestly don't know why. I think it's kind of just, I think honestly, I'm sorry, Matt Rogers. It's Matt Rogers' fault because when I got into this game, Dash was such like the Pistols Dash was like the hotness that everybody was doing. And I was just like, no, I'm alternative because I grew up in the 90s. And I desperately wanted to feel something. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I think that honestly kind of pushed me away from it. And I've just never really been super interested in trying it out, while it's there. So I am excited that no matter what I do in sealed or in draft or for bright lights, I will play Mechanologist and see what it's like. I'm excited for new Mechanologist heroes. We've got Teklovasen, who's basically Nikolai Tesla. Hopefully he's more Nikolai Tesla and less Edison and Elon Musk. But we'll see how the lore shakes out. If you don't know much about those guys, they suck.
Never meet your heroes.
Exactly. Never let your heroes buy a social. No, he wasn't my hero. I'm just was trying to make a joke, but I don't want to follow it through because he doesn't deserve it. So yeah, I'm actually excited to play it. I have a lot of mech cards just because I collect them, and T-Bone, which was our one and only spoiler, is near and dear to my heart because it is a staple Mechanologist card. So good. Like, why would you not play 9 of this card? Just here, block with your equipment. If I get 3 in one hand, you're totally effed.
Totally effed.
So that one it'll be interesting. I'm excited to try it is where I'm at. I don't know if it'll like really do anything for me, but there's enough. I don't know. They teased enough that I'm just like, ooh, like we've moved from steampunk to like cyberpunk. It's like I'm like, okay, this is more my vibe. Like I want, you know, cool future city, not like, future city of like the 1800s. So I think the vibe is hitting just with like the mechs and the Evo equipment, like having equipment in your deck that you can, upgrade and do stuff with, like I think is really interesting. Um, I have a feeling that it'll be kind of like, well, I have 3 equipment cards in my hand, so I guess I will block and then equip a helmet and pass my turn. So, but we'll see. Well, there's lots, like I said, lots to discover. So excited to see that. I think the base equipment tokens is really cool that you start off with all your like base equipment, and then with your deck, you can like equip new things that do powerful busted shit, which I'm excited to see more about.
Hell yeah. Yeah. If you haven't read the IGN article about bright lights, I recommend you go do that and then continue to listen, because that helps put things in perspective for this discussion. I have never been interested in mechanologist, even remotely. The fiddly bits, super boring. The top hats with steam, boring to me. But then you tell me I can play as a dapper mustache man that transforms into a giant tank. I'm in, like as a genius mustached man who has the arms that could be considered cannons already, and thighs, mainly my thighs. I feel like I'm going to be a Tekla Vossen main for those reasons. And if we can do something more interesting than boosting and having attacks and giving your pistol go again and giving your pistol +1 and then putting steam counters on bullshit, then I could be tempted into being really excited about Mechanologist. I will for sure be giving it its chance, for sure.
Yeah. It's cool. It's cool that they're just like, you can be Iron Man now.
Yeah, and have a mustache. Is this the first mustache in Flesh and Blood?
Maybe on a playable hero. No. Well, Genus What You Need has a beard too, but he's got an excellent mustache.
Well, that doesn't count.
On top of it. But his goes real far.
Yeah, good for him.
Not just attached.
That's just called upper beard then, if you have a lower beard to connect them both.
What if it's all... Never mind.
5 o'clock shadow?
No. Well, yeah. What I do. Anyways. You've derailed us. It was me who derailed us, because I was like, it could be Tony Stark. I love Marvel. But yeah, I mean, obviously they went with that. They're like, let's just make Iron Man, because you're just equipping cool Iron Man suits to your body while you play.
These are the other things I have about this is I agree with you. It is coming up rather soon, even though October feels forever away, but it is also right around the corner. I think that this is a rather, it's kind of a gamble. It's very ballsy to do a whole draftable set with one class,
True.
And is very, very narrow. And if for some reason your hero is one that hasn't been served in the last couple of sets, you still got to wait even longer, which is challenging. So it's it feels like a big deal for Flesh and Blood, a turning point in the game and how the game's designed and that sort of thing. But if they continue to do these more narrow sets closer together, like if that's going to be the model, like we get 4 sets and they're narrow and a little bit closer together in the year because there's 4 of them, then I think I could get used to that rhythm of release and maybe save some bucks by not having to fully invest in like a new set and new singles and that sort of thing. You know what I mean? So like, Dusk to Dawn, like you don't even really need to buy any of those cards if you're not really one of those heroes. Same thing with Bright Lights. You know what I mean? So like, I think that's kind of a positive in terms of like a player, but in terms of like a business, you want everybody to be buying your stuff, right? So that's what I mean by it being kind of ballsy.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely a strong choice. There's It's funny too because there's been some ever since the announcement of Monarch and the reveal of talents as a mechanic and subgenre of class in the game, people have been wondering what mechanologist is because there was always a I don't know, there's a lot of conspiracy theories around the border art being you know, I don't know. I actually forgot what the details of that were, but people have talked about like, oh, maybe mechanologist is both a talent and a class, and I don't know. It doesn't seem like we're gonna get any further, information on that, and it might just be that like mechanologists are mechanologists, and now we have a new Dash IO. I think that's kind of fun. I'm curious if she's gonna be a adult hero as well. Is this the Starvo treatment we've been waiting for on another hero for so very long, or is it just a young hero that you play in sealed and Tecloblas?
Yeah, is this
one, or there'll be more heroes than 2?
Right. So is this a Arachne treatment or a Starvo treatment?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the real question. And if you didn't know, Dash has a rat tail, and it's in full effect in that key art for Dash IO. So she's had it the whole time. You know what I mean?
It's pretty great. If you don't like it, don't tell me about it. I don't want to hear it.
I think there will be some interesting lore in this set. I'm excited, but my excitement has waned since I saw the spoilers. If that makes sense, kind of understanding what potentially this means and like, I don't know what that means for me, I guess. So I also, it's interesting to have cyberpunk or steampunk in our fantasy world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is something kind of, I think, I can't remember if it was on the Fresh and Buds podcast or we talked about it off camera or whatever, but it's just like, I kind of side with Tommy on if we're going to have gigantic mech robots in the game, in the world, why doesn't everybody have gigantic mech robots? It's fine if they don't, but as long as we cover why this technology is not pervasive, is that the right word, throughout the land? The right word? If it's not, I'm sorry. All I need is a reason. I also still need a reason, by the way, of why everybody's fighting everybody. Why does Katsu need to fight Reinar or Bravo? I just want to know.
I mean, it's fair. I do. It's it is very convenient that in the midst of this like wild and kind of medieval feeling world, there is just like this place that has robots and, you know, electricity and all this other stuff. But at the same time, there's magic and dragons, so like why not? You know, not everyone has dragons, you know, because they can't. They don't.
Those aren't even real.
They don't got.
Those aren't even real dragons.
They don't got the cash, you know. Like
they're fake dragons.
You know, it's a capitalist society, and if you don't got the cash, the metrics cash, then you can't afford. You can't afford to play. You know, that's just like. How about this?
Okay.
We have big mechs and robots in our real world. So why doesn't everybody have them? It's mostly because of money. So I'm going to say it's a money thing, and that explains it. You know, Katsu is a vagabond, especially in the French version. He just be walking around. He doesn't live anywhere. He wears the same outfit every day. He can't afford a mech. That doesn't mean we can't get like a metrics based ninja though, who might have little like ninja robots.
Oh, that'd be cool.
But it feels like they've got it locked down. You know, it's all patented inside metrics, and you're not allowed to take it out of the city, you know, because maybe it's powered by like Tesla coils that are in the city. And if you try to take it outside the city, you're done.
Those are Teklo coils in this world.
Yeah, Teklo coils. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not Tesla coils.
Teklo, which is Dash's daddy, by the way, Teklo Vossen.
It's her dad.
Yeah. It says it in her lore. The daughter of the head of Teklo Industries.
So in Bright Lights, it's just a dad fighting his daughter.
I know.
I mean, I get that. She gives the vibes of like, she's like the open source rebellion versus the, you know, cyber corpo, iron fist money making Teklo Vossen, which now all of a sudden Teklo Vossen sounds like
lame. I know. If that's his deal, I'm like instantly jumping off of that bandwagon.
I think he's the villain, is what we just realized.
Fuck. Okay.
Which, you know, he had a mustache. It goes either way, man. It cuts both ways. Mustache can be bad guy or handsome guy, and sometimes both.
Yeah. That's what makes me a great coach.
Yeah.
It's because I'm both.
They never know what they're going to get.
Exactly. Colin, should we move into some signature segments? I feel like our late night burger field ranting is coming to a close here, and we need to spice it up.
I had boba for dinner.
That's close enough. Starts with a B. Colin, I have a new segment here for the podcast. And
just for me?
Just for you. It is an homage to our best friend Isaac. And it is in the form of my favorite format, a quiz. So this is called
nice.
How Well Do You Know Isaac?
Oh, fuck.
This is a true or false quiz. So your only answers can be true or false. Do you understand the rules?
Can I ask clarifying questions if I don't understand the question?
Sure. Yes.
Great.
Okay.
All right.
Are you ready to begin?
I'd like to apologize to Isaac for whatever happens next. Yes, I'm ready.
That's already incorrect. Your only answers can be true or false. So here we go. Here's your first question.
Yeah, I'm ready. True. Spot.
True or false? Isaac's birthday is in June.
True.
False. It's in May.
Oh, I knew he was a Gemini, but I forgot it was in May.
Isaac's dog's name is Rainier.
False.
Correct.
Shasta.
That is correct. Shasta is Isaac's dog's name. She's a good girl.
She is a good girl.
Next question. Did Isaac spend a year abroad in high school?
Yes. True.
Excellent. That is also correct. That
France?
country was Belgium.
False.
Correct. It was France. Well done.
I knew it.
Well done.
I was way ahead of the curve.
You're doing great. I don't know what the score is, but you're doing pretty good. You only got one wrong so far.
Go, Isaac.
Okay, next question. Isaac's middle name is Titus.
Yeah, but what's his social security number?
Oh, don't worry. That's on here. That was actually a bit I
Titus.
thought I was going to do, was like do his middle name and then bleep out Isaac's social security and then just bleep it, you know? Anyway, middle name, Titus, true or false? The gears I can see turning in Colin's head right now are so good.
Isaac Titus Justin, get inside right now. True.
False. That's his sister's middle name.
Ooh.
His younger sister's middle name. His middle
why it was a
name.
good lie.
What? Go ahead.
I said that's why it's a good lie. It was close to the
Correct.
truth.
Here's the next one. His middle name is Donald.
Oh. Like the duck.
Or the indicted president.
Like the duck. I said like the duck. Next question.
True or false, Colin?
True. Wait, what was the question?
Is his middle name Donald?
Oh, wait. I thought you just said it was true.
Nope, false. That's my middle name.
You just told me that his middle name was Donald.
No, I said question mark, true or false. His middle name is Donald.
I feel like I got...
You got excited with ducks.
No, I think I got bamboozled. I'm going to call a judge. Judge!
Next question, true or false. His middle name is Conrad.
All right, it is Conrad. True.
That's correct. His middle name, Isaac Conrad Jessen.
Conrad.
Next question. Isaac is a flat earther.
Please, God, be false.
I believe it's false, but we've never actually talked about it.
That means it's false because those people never stop talking about it.
Next question. Isaac built his own house.
True.
That is correct.
It's a homestead.
Isaac did build his own house. Next question.
Which I used to think was just a fancy word for his house, but it's like actually like a thing that... Anyways, go on.
Well, yeah. I mean, he doesn't like do any animal husbandry or anything like that, you know, so has a...
Yeah, but he takes care of the land.
Yeah, is a steward of the land. Yes,
that's right.
That's very true. And his younger sister does do some animal keeping. Next question. His house is 2 stories.
True.
That is also correct. I thought you would get that one wrong. Yes, Isaac has a 2-storied homemade house. Final question.
I see the stairs behind him.
Oh, yeah. Dang it. Well done. Good detective. Final question. True or false? There is a fabled folk tale about a hawk during Isaac's birth.
What is the folk tale?
I can't tell you that. Just there is or isn't one.
False.
Ooh, it's true. It's something about a red-tailed hawk, which is an inspiration for a tattoo Isaac may or may never get in his life. Thank you for playing, Colin. Well done. How well do you know Isaac Jessen? You know him pretty well, I would say.
Pretty well. Yeah.
That was pretty good. I tried to make it like
right.
Not A, embarrassing, and B, not such deep cuts that only I would know. You know, like on...
You threw me for a loop with 3 questions about his middle name. I think that tilted me a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. I thought it was going to come off a lot funnier, but you got confused in the middle, which is...
Well, I thought you asked me a question and then you're like, his middle name is Donald.
Well, I was kind of going lightning speed there. Okay. Thank you for
Well,
playing.
my lightning rounds involve meandering thoughts in between them.
We'll put that in your quiz when it's the how well do we know Colin.
Shout out to the what podcast is that? Oh, never mind. I forgot the name of it.
Fair enough. It's probably a great podcast, whatever it is. Last
Good. It's about board game design. I forgot what it's called all of a sudden.
is it Think Like a Game
up.
Designer with Justin Gary?
No, it's I'm embarrassed. I've listened to so many episodes of this podcast.
Well, you figure that out while we
Ludology is what it's called.
Oh, cool.
They do a lightning round and it involves meandering answers.
Oh. So. See, this is why I said your only answers could be true or false, but that's okay. I wasn't stringent enough with my band hammer on you.
It was the commentary around the answers.
Exactly.
That was meander.
Here at the Attack Action Podcast, we love mini games, not just flesh and blood. So we're going to share one of those with you. And this might not be our favorite game or a game in terms of the metaphysical sense, but it is a game that we are sharing with you this time. And it's Colin's game from the closet.
Let's go. Welcome to Colin's game from somebody else's closet, because I don't own this game, but I played it a bunch recently. I'm going to talk about Clank, ! Catacombs.
Oh.
Clank is a series of games. You may or may not have heard of it before. I think most of them kind of take the same shape, where you are kind of delving into a dungeon trying to extract riches and gold, and you know it's a bit of deck building, and then there's I think there's usually a dragon. I'm not sure if there's a dragon in every one, but I think there is. And then in the process of doing this, you make noise, clank, and then that clank goes in a bag, and then if the dragon attacks you because you made too much noise, you lose health, and if you die before you escape the dungeon, you don't get any points. I think that's how regular Clank works, but Catacombs includes a modular tile map where you kind of have like a starting off point that I think is generally the same, and then or it's got fewer pieces to it. And then there's the catacombs, which are like the depths of the dungeon. And you build the map and board as you explore it. And it's a lot of fun. Every card, there's like a marketplace of cards. You basically just like put out all your cards. You generate resources, you buy new cards. You have some cards that generate attack, so you can attack things. Sometimes you need to attack things to move. You need to generate your movement too. So sometimes if you built your deck poorly, you're just stuck places because you didn't draw any cards that move. So it's like a really interesting, like, deck building game, but also like there's things that let you get rid of cards too. So it's like you're trying to hone your deck a little bit and hopefully get a thing where you can draw more cards. It feels like drawing cards in the game is good. I feel like it's always good in games, but so you can just do more things, and there's fun little combos that you can get from different interactions between, there's like a bard and then there's like a flute. And, if you have a bard and the flute, you generate a bunch of clank, but if you generate enough clank, you get like really good bonuses, like you get health back or something like that. So, it's a pretty light game, but it's really fun. If you die in the catacombs, 0 points, you're done. But if you die before exiting when you're in like the safe area, you just don't get any bonus points for escaping. So there's always this mad dash at the end of the game where everyone's trying to just get the hell out of the dungeon with whatever they have, because if you die down there, you just lose. So it's better sometimes to survive and hope somebody else gets stuck which does happen. So, yeah, that's Clank Catacombs. I also know they have a Acquisitions Incorporated legacy version of Clank, which I've heard is very good, but I have not played. So if you're familiar with AI, you should check that game out because it's very much that kind of sense of humor. If you haven't, Acquisitions Incorporated is a great D&D podcast. Or, it's not really a podcast. It's like a intermittent game played by some famous, semi-famous, and interesting folks from around the internet, including people like Patrick Rothfuss, and is usually DM'd by like big wigs at Dungeons and Dragons, like the company. So pretty fun. That's an aside, but yeah, Clank Catacombs is my game from the closet. Shout out to my boy Elliot, who is my close friend down here that loves board games as much as me, and is always turning me on to good games. So this is one of his that he really likes that I've enjoyed. So
nice,
check it out.
Yeah, the Clank or Ratchet and Clank is not a franchise that I actually have partaken in. And it's not often a board.
It's definitely not Ratchet and
Clank. Yeah. Sorry. That's what I mean. Clank. That's like a different video game situation. Yeah. Is not a franchise that I have seen played or anything like that. So it's rare that a board game from the closet just whizzes past me and I have to pay attention the whole time to what you're saying so I can get the context. Famously on Acquisitions Incorporated, Will Wheaton also is on there.
Oh, yeah.
And
Will Wheaton.
Which is he's a gem and gets to start his own lore of being very bad at rolling dice, which is pretty funny. There's a moment... Yeah, this is a deep lore cut and off topic, but I'm going to tell it because I find it humorous on the famous Critical Role YouTube show / podcast. Will Wheaton happens to be in studio at some point, and Sam Riegel does a roll, and it fails, and he then blames Will Wheaton's presence because he's in eye line with him and tells him to get the fuck out of his eye line so he can not roll shitty. And I thought that was hilarious. So that's just one of those
nice
deep internet nerd lore things that you will find humorous if I've reminded you, and perhaps annoying if you're still listening.
Love it. That's the kind of quality, non-committal commentary people stick to the end of the podcast for.
Hell yeah.
No, Acquisitions Incorporated, really great. The C Team is a spinoff that was a podcast for a long time. That was my introduction to it. Very fun. There's a lot of talk of D&D now because of Baldur's Gate 3. So, if you want to hear how people play D&D, that's a good one to start with because it's actually a group of people who learn how to play. And that's always fun to hear their growth in how to play the game and also role play in really fun ways. So, yeah, anyways.
Seems cool. I would love to play that sometime with you. Clank.
Well, we'll have to go to Elliot's house. So
Elliot sounds cool.
Come on down. Elliot is cool. He doesn't listen, but I always shout him out.
That's okay. Do you ever ask him how E.T.'s doing?
Do I ask how he's doing?
E.T. How's E.T. doing? His best friend.
And on that note,
I know, low hanging fruit here at the millionth hour. Thanks everybody for listening. We appreciate you, Colin. Thank you for being on. You're the best, and I love you, and thank you.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure. I'm graced to be allowed to talk into this microphone at a moving picture of your face for multiple hours at a time.
Wow.
Oh, I'd like to shout out our last, before we go, our last reaction step where we did another art draft.
Oh, yeah.
Of the art from Dusk Till Dawn, and some people have thoughts on who did better, and it might be Taylor, but it's up to
I had a
you
strong
to
draft,
decide if you
yeah.
haven't watched yet. He did have a strong draft. The art is pretty good, goes pretty hard in some places. So if you haven't watched that yet, go there and check it out. And I think that's it. We'll see you in the next one.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at the Attack Action Podcast. On Twitter, we are at BattleBro Taylor and at BattleBro Isaac. Shoot us an email, theattackactionpodcast@gmail.com.
If you would like to support us, like and subscribe, shop for singles using our affiliate link, or support our Patreon for as little as $4 per month.
We are going to take a small break right here so I can go blow my nose because there's something in the air now in my house.
Now it's just you and me, listener. It's your boy, Chonicman. I've got some thoughts that I'd like to share with you now. Number one, real excited for this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. It looks funny and cool. Good animation style. Into it. Number two, I don't know what number two is yet, so we'll come back to that. Number three is I haven't put any of my cards away from Outsiders or Dusk to Dawn. Is it Dusk to Dawn or Dusk Till Dawn? I actually don't know. Let me look at the box. It's Till Dawn, excuse me.
Hello.
I need to put those cards away. Don't tell Taylor I told you this.
I can't wait to listen to that back. Okay.
We're back.
We're back.